care worker and organizer representing the Migrant Worker Alliance for Change. Welcome. You have 7 minutes and you may begin by stating your name.
Thank you. My name is Syed Hussan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Migrant Workers Alliance for Change. We are a membership-based organization led by farm workers, domestic workers, migrant students, undocumented people, and other migrant workers from across the country. My colleague Jhoey will speak to you first, and then you'll hear from me. Jhoey, go ahead.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Jhoey Cruz. I came to Canada in July 2016 and worked as an in-home child caregiver. I'm currently an organizer at Migrant Workers Alliance for Change, where I support the self-organization of care workers. I'm in regular communication with our membership, over 1,000 care workers. I came here, like others, through an agency based in Ontario, and I paid $2,000 in fees. The promise of a better life, family reunification, good working hours, and workers' rights made me want to work in Ontario. I had to pay for the fees to secure for my spot for work. I sent payment through Western Union, but not in the name of the agent. She gave me another person's name to receive the payment. In Canada, by the time I found out that I shouldn't have been charged, it was already too late. I didn't have any evidence. In my work, I have realized that I paid less than others. Our members paid at least $7,000 to $10,000 each. Some of them paid $20,000. Most of them paid cash to their agencies and didn't receive receipts. At our last meeting, everyone that was in the meeting had paid fees. One of our group members, Ethel, Janet, and also some others, came to Canada after paying $8,000 to $10,000 fees. They were promised employment, paid their fees in cash, and as soon as they arrived, they were dropped off in an empty house and left to fend for themselves. They were initially promised that they would be brought to the employer's house, but ended up being told that the employers changed their mind. They didn't know what to do. They were alone and in a new country. They were forced into undocumented work by the recruiter. Eventually, they got in touch with us in a legal clinic. They filed for a complaint. 4 of the 6 were denied. 1 was granted because he had a text from the recruiter. 1 died without receiving justice, even though all their situations were the same. And the recruiter still continues to work in Ontario today. Ethel was unable to be here today. She's at work now and can take time off. She told us that she's not even allowed to sit down and eat. Janet also told me to tell you that, quote, they give you a promise to come to Canada and charge you with a huge amount of money for it. And then when you come here, you are lost. I had to find a new employer who will sponsor me and complete my 24 months. And now that I have applied for PR and I'm going through the screening again, I still do not have access to the equal rights. We need PR on arrival so we can protect ourselves against employers' code. Thank you, everyone. And my colleague, Mr. Hussan, will now outline the changes necessary to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. As Ms. Cruz outlined, most employers in Ontario need to use a recruiter to hire a migrant worker from outside the country. And almost all recruiters charge fees of thousands of dollars to workers. To pay these fees, workers go into debt. Fees are charged even though it's been illegal since 2010 for care workers and since 2013 for all temporary foreign workers. They're charged because what we have is a complaints-based system where the onus is on workers after their rights have been violated to file a claim with the Ministry of Labour and prove that they were illegally charged fees. A complaints-driven process does not work for 2 reasons. First, recruiters know not to leave any paper trail, as Ms. Cruz outlined. Second, and most importantly, migrant workers face a significant power imbalance because they don't have permanent resident status. Putting the burden on migrant workers to prove their rights have been violated does not work because speaking out can mean losing your job, becoming homeless because you live in employer-provided housing, being forced to leave the country or being threatened with it, not being able to work because you can only work for the employer listed on your permit, not being able to come back, and losing your chance of getting permanent residency in Canada for not meeting hours of work requirements. It's crucial to understand that recruiter fees aren't just a financial matter. When workers arrive in Ontario saddled with immense debt, they are far less likely to speak about any other rights violation. As it stands, Bill 27 needs to be amended to be proactive as outlined in our submissions. This includes 1, register and license employers, make them jointly liable, have them pay a large security bond and establish hefty fines. This will ensure that employers only use regulated recruiters. Second, have recruiters put up a large security bond. Set the fines to hurt their bottom line. Remember, they make thousands of dollars per worker, and the fine now could be as low as a slap on the wrist. Finally, reverse the onus. Workers should not have to prove that they paid fees, but rather recruiters must prove that the supply chain is clean. There are two other major changes needed. One, most migrant workers are unable to access workers' compensation when they're injured at work. WSIB must be distributed to workers, not back to employers. Two, the proposal to collect personal information of migrant agricultural workers in this bill includes no guarantee of information sharing firewalls with federal authorities, and no reasoning on how it could ensure more rights for workers. If the idea is to simply know where workers are, an employer registry as we propose will meet the same need. Both Schedule 6 and 4 should be rescinded. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 1 minute remaining, but if that's all, we can move on to the last presenter from the Occupational Safety Group, Benjamin Kropp, the Vice President,